Why do I wake up every morning feeling like I have to puke my brains out? Hi, welcome back. If you just graduated high school and you're ready to embark on your college journey, but you don't know how to cook, well, you already have a pretty big issue to be worried about. I think it's important for high school kids to learn how to cook as soon as possible because it's going to be useful in the long run. And look, I get it. Learning how to cook and being able to make your own food is not something a high school kid puts at the top of their priority list. It's a luxury to be able to wake up every morning, go downstairs, and see that food is just magically ready for you to eat. But at some point, we all become adults. And once that happens, a lot of responsibilities are placed upon you. And one of those being able to cook. And I think that once people start leaving their home to go off to college in a dorm or in an apartment, they forget that they no longer have somebody who's going to be making them food every day. And it makes sense because you would be more worried about your classes and making new friends and not really consider the fact that you're gonna have to now figure out a way to get your own food. And there are plenty of easy options to choose from. You can just go to your favorite fast food place and get food from there. Or you can order from Uber Eats and have the food delivered to you. But doing that every day is not going to be a healthy way of eating, especially if you're relying on McDonald's to be your only source of food. And that's why cooking is so much better than any of those options. Being able to make your own food is allowing you to cook the food that will have nutrients as well as not so much unhealthy crap that you would get from a fast food place. Once people start realizing that eating junk food every day is going to be a fucking bad idea, they will have to resort to cooking. And look, I myself thought that I could just go my whole college life eating sandwiches. It didn't take long for me to realize that that was a big fucking mistake. I then had to just suck it up and pretty much go out and buy some cooking utensils and tools to make my own food. Really, the first thing you're gonna wanna do if you are trying to figure out what you need to start cooking is get some cooking utensils. Preferably, you would wanna get the metal ones, but if you can't afford those, then the wooden ones are fine too. You just need something to allow you to move the food around in a pan or in a pot, something that'll just help you maneuver the food, which then leads you to getting a pot and a pan. One. That's really all you need. One pot, one pan. It doesn't matter where you get it from. It could be from Walmart, it could be from Target, it doesn't matter. So long as you're getting a pot that's suitable for your stove. And then the next item on the list would be getting a cooking knife. This is one of the more important things out of the list of things that you need. And the reason why is because that's what's going to help you cut the food and allow you to then make cooking easier for food that requires it to be nicely cut, or if you just prefer it to be cut into pieces. Getting a good knife can sometimes be a little bit pricey, which is why you want to just look for one that's sharp, has a good grip, and that's pretty much all you're looking for. It has to be a cooking knife. It can't just be a simple utensil knife that everybody uses whenever they're eating. That's not gonna work. You need a really good knife that is obviously within your price range. Another thing you'll need is measuring utensils and measuring cup. I wasn't using these often, but if you're starting to learn how to cook and you wanna follow the recipe, you're gonna wanna use these measuring cups and measuring utensils so that way you can get the expected taste as well as the results for which you're trying to cook. Also, some people just aren't comfortable relying on the instructions of a splash of oil or a pinch of salt, and that's really what the measuring tools are meant for. When you cook, if you want something to taste specifically and not have maybe something that tastes strong or barely any taste, those tools are definitely gonna come in handy because they give you the exact measurements. And then you'll have everything you need. Obviously, the food that you want is your decision. Personally, when I started going to college, I wasn't very creative, and I was fortunate enough to have parents that cooked food for me, and I also was able to cook a little bit. And when I mean a little bit, I mean like I could manage to make my own breakfast. So I was kind of interested in cooking, but not really. Not enough to where I would actually make my own lunch or dinner at the time. You have to do it yourself. That's really the only way for you to improve. You have to start getting food, cooking it, and then it's a trial and error process. You see where the mistakes were made and you improve upon it. What I started doing was making pasta, chicken, ground beef, fish, rice. I don't really find it too hard to make, especially if you have, enough tools. So, for example, with rice, all I really needed was a rice cooker and salt, oil, water. That's about it. In the end, what I did try to pull off was spaghetti with meat sauce, or maybe spaghetti with chicken and some marinara or fettuccine alfredo sauce. And basically that's kind of how I would go about cooking. And it just was a big mess, from burning the food to undercooking the food, or even just making a big mess on the counter. And I had to do that in order to improve. I had to do that so that way I could then become better at it. I wouldn't say that I am a good cook. By no means do I consider myself an expert when it comes to making food, but I definitely learned a lot from the experience of cooking in college, that as long as I stick with the consistency of how I made food, then I can definitely start doing a little bit better within a certain period of time. Then after a while, you start getting better and more comfortable with cooking. And I understand that some of this may take some time out of your day, but it's also important to understand that you gotta watch your health. You gotta make sure that you're eating healthy. I'm not saying you're not allowed to go get McDonald's or go get a Domino's pizza, but eating that every day will definitely make your stomach want to kill itself. And at least for me, it just doesn't make me feel like a piece of shit whenever I'm eating crap. Every once in a while, if I think too much about the things that I eat, I'll start going down into a rabbit hole thinking, what's this gonna do to my body? How am I gonna feel the next morning? How is this going to affect my physical state? And when you're a kid, when you're just getting food from a fast food place or from the gas station, you don't obviously consider how this is going to affect your body. You don't give a shit. But once you get older and you start considering how you're going to look and how your body is going to feel when you are consuming certain food, it definitely sucks when you are eating a burger with fries and a Coke and you think, man, this is not healthy at all. Some people get too paranoid about it, and I myself kind of find a nice balance of always making sure I'm eating what is healthy, but also, eating something that's going to make me feel nice and happy. Which is why it's nice to just make sure you're keeping a balance of things. And cooking helps with that. Cooking is what allows you to then make the healthy food that you need. And I know that sometimes the campuses have their own cafeteria food, and sure, it's nice to just be able to get on campus, go to cafeteria, meet up with your friends, and have the food already there for you. But why not just struggle, have a little bit of depression, and stick with something that's kind of hard, but the end product might just be worth it if you keep trying and don't mess up too much. In all seriousness, cooking is very useful in the long run. Even if you don't have to move away from your parents or go into a college dorm, it's nice to rely on yourself to make your own food. Not always having to wait for somebody to come home, make the food for you, because sooner or later you will have to move out. It's not like you can just afford to have somebody to cook for you as soon as you live by yourself. And if you can, then I'm a little bit jealous, but obviously we're talking about the common person, because we live in a day and age where everything is just so conveniently available for us. We can either get delivery or we can just drive to a local grocery store, supermarket, and we can have ready to eat meals there for us. And it's pretty nice. And obviously it's a great privilege, but it messes with how you're going to think about your eating habits. You're going to be wired to think that you only have to rely on those options. You don't want to think about cooking yourself because you're concerned that it'll never turn out to be as good or as better as the food that you get from those options. And sure, it sucks whenever you're wasting food because you don't know how to cook. And it sucks if the food ends up turning out to taste different than what you were expecting. But nevertheless, it's definitely a skill or a habit that you will have to garner and improve upon. So that way you can just then make the food yourself one day and not have to think about it. We need to rely on ourselves every once in a while. If we keep expecting others to help with our needs, then we won't grow as human beings and we won't improve ourselves. And cooking is just a simple way of improving yourself. You acquire a skill set that will then help you grow and also allow you to improve your health in your own special way. Because there are people who rely on making their own food because of dietary needs, because of certain allergies, or because they really want to try something that they found on Instagram or social media and hopefully make it themselves. I don't really find cooking to be that fun. I just need to know it so that way I can not die. But some people love using it as a way of making their own kind of art, or so that they can make others happy. It's nice to be able to make something and have somebody try it and look at it and then compliment it. It makes them feel like they've accomplished something. It's a nice hobby that can be seen as art. And some people can also look at it and think that it's cool or it's entertaining. And I think it's great that people are willing to go out of their way to make healthy food or make their own food so that they can help their health and not always rely on fast food or delivery food services to get their food. That's really all I wanted to talk about today. I hope to make more videos. Please like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Thanks again. Keep being awesome.